Okay, I think we are live now. Let me just check once. Yeah, fine. Now, let us look. What we'll do is we'll look at this topic called clocks. Here we have to look at hours, minutes, and seconds. There's a bit of calculation which is involved. So we'll see what we can do, and then we'll proceed towards the next topic. Anyway, so this, as you already know, is nothing but a clock. So now we can here see that this is nothing but the hour. But the most important aspect when it comes to clocks is with respect to the minute handle and the hour handle. So those two are very important from the point of view of exams as well. So before we proceed further, let me just wait for a minute or so because it's just 6 now. Okay, we'll see if others will join in and then I will continue. Meanwhile, if you have any doubts with respect to anything, or if you are able to recall any of your mock test exam questions, you may definitely ask me. Likewise, I will also remind you something that is with respect to the Ekcel Academy. So this, as you know, is Ekcel Academy. We have been conducting classes for CS, not only for CS EET, but for all the various stages of CS, that is executive and professional as well. And one of the unique selling points of Ekcel Academy is that we conduct classes in English, purely in English, no other language. And there will be live classes which will be held often, and there are mentorship programs and ask me anything sessions. Notes will be provided. So those are the kind of things which we do. And also there'll be mock tests which we conduct. Okay, Samir Panda is asking Hindi medium CS. I don't know what he's asking. Sorry, my Hindi is very bad. I can't understand that. I guess he's asking whether there is Hindi medium CS. I think yes, you can answer questions in Hindi. That is one language is there apart from English. So that's why you can see most of the North Indian YouTube channels, they teach in Hindi as opposed to what we do. Anyway, and of course, our founder is CS Alok, whom you would have seen in this channel. Now, with respect to the mock test, I would suggest please do visit our website once. You will get a link with respect to the mock test. You can just register or log into the website using your Gmail ID as well. And then you can appear for the mock test because the exams are not very far away. I would suggest don't straight away get into the exam mode. Appear for 1 or 2 mock tests so that you will get used to that idea of exam, and then you can definitely take up the exam. Okay, let's come back to the topic of clocks. By the way, welcome back to the CSEET live session. This is the day 2 of logical reasoning. Logical reasoning, as you already know, is nothing but part of the legal aptitude and logical reasoning subject. And this paper will be there for 25 marks in the final exam. Now, right now we are looking at the topic called clocks. Now, when it comes to clocks, as I was already saying, the most important aspect I would say would be the hour handle and the minute handle, not so much the second handle. We usually do not have problems involving the second handle. Good evening, Pratiksha. Welcome back. Now, here the concept is actually very simple. All you have to do is just remember a formula. If you are able to remember that formula, which is already there in your reference material by now, which you would be familiar with, you can easily solve any problem related to clocks using that formula. So that is the most important thing here. Now, what they will usually ask in case of clocks problems is with respect to the angles. For example, right now we have 3 o'clock here. So they will ask a question with respect to the angle now. Now, we know for sure that this is nothing but a right angle. Okay. In some cases, we will not be able to look and identify the angle. In such a circumstance, what we have to do is to apply the formula, see where the minute handle is. In this case, it is at 12, and where the hour handle is. In this case, it is at 3. And based on that formula, we will try to arrive at the conclusion. Okay. Good evening, Sumati, as well. Now let us straight away jump into the problems. So that way it's easy for us to understand what exactly is happening. Now, What is that we have here? What is the angle between two hands of a clock when the time shown by the clock is 6:30 p.m. they say. Okay. So as you can see, the clock right now is showing which time? It is showing 6:30. Okay, it could be PM, AM, doesn't really matter for us. Now, if it is showing 6:30 in the clock, what is the angle between the two hands is the question. So for us, this part, let me change the ink here. Okay, this part of the question is very important for us. That is the angle between the two hands. So the angle between the two hands, if I have to zoom in this image, so you can notice that it's a very small angle which is here. This is the angle which we have to identify here. If you can identify that angle, then there is nothing much more to the question. Good evening, Hema, as well. Welcome back, guys, for the second session of logical reasoning. Now, how do we identify this angle? By the way, this is something which is obvious, but let me still state it. This is the R handle, the shorter one, and the bigger one is the minute handle. The minute handle is pointing towards 6, whereas the R handle is between 7 and 6. That is what we notice here. Okay. So now we have to solve this. Like, how do we solve this? Again, as I said, this is very easily done. All that we need to do is just remember the formula. The formula is very simple. The formula says it is 11 by 2m. 11 by 2m minus 30 into h. That's it. Or 30h. You can also write it that way. It doesn't make much difference. 11 by 2m minus 30h will be the will give us the right answer. If you are already aware of that, you can easily try on your own. You don't have to wait for me to solve this thing. So now let me tell you what is what in this formula. This 11 by 2 is the constant. This 30 is also a constant. We are not looking at how we arrived at this formula. Again, that is a different topic. We are not going there. What we are essentially doing is we are just looking at this formula, which is a given in our case, and trying to apply values here, or rather substitute for m and h. M, as you may have already guessed, is nothing but minute handle, and h, as by now you would be aware of, I'm sure, is nothing but R handle. One is minute and the other is R handle. So now what we have to do is we have to look at this clock and decide where the minute handle is and where the R handle is. That's it. Now, if you look at the clock, you know for sure the minute handle is at 6, or 6 into 5 minutes for every movement from one digit to another. So that means it is the 30th minute, isn't it? Okay. So now let me substitute for the values here. Okay. 11 by 2, M stands for minutes. It is 30 minutes past 6 o'clock. So I will write 30 here. I hope it makes sense. Minus, according to the formula, it is 30, which is a constant, by the way, into R. Now, this is which R? That's the easier part here. We know it's 630. If it is 630, it's obviously the sixth R. So 30 multiplied by 6. That's all. So if you do the math, you'll definitely get the answer. As simple as this. 11 by 2m minus 30 h. 11 by 2 into 30, because it is 30 minutes. The R handle, sorry, the minute handle is at 6. So therefore it is 30 minutes. And the R right now is 6 R. So therefore write 6 in case of h. So if you do this math, you will get 5.5 into 30 minus 30 into 6, we know is 180. Okay. So 150 plus 15, 165. So it will be 165 minus 180. So if you do the math, you'll get 15 degrees. Of course, you get minus, but ignore minus. So minus is not a concern here. So therefore, the right answer in this case would be 15 degrees. I hope it is clear. Any doubts, guys? Did you get it? I think the same question is there in the reference material as well. Let me quickly check that. Okay. Now, I remember having seen this question somewhere here. Huh. Here is the question. So if you go to page number 174, you will get this question, of course. What is the angle between two hands of a clock when the time shown by the clock is 6:30 p.m.? As I said, PM or AM doesn't really matter for us because we are only worried about the angle here, not exactly about it's morning or evening. Now, one interesting thing here is they have mentioned 150 here, which is in fact wrong. It should have been 15 degrees actually. 150 there is a printing mistake. Okay. So 165 up to this point they are correct actually. 165 minus 180. This is not 150. It is 15 degrees. Now the reason why I wanted to show you this problem in this reference material is this. So this is not the only instance where there is a printing mistake. There are several such printing mistakes in the reference material. So if at all, when you are trying to solve the questions in the reference material, and if your answer doesn't match with the answer given in the reference material, fret not. Sometimes it will be because of printing mistake. Okay. Good evening, Rakshit. Welcome back to the class. Okay. So I just wanted to set that thing right. So that is done. Let's get back to the clock question. Next one. Okay, let's move on to the next one. What is the angle between two hands of a clock when the time shown is 8:30 a.m. p.m. doesn't make any difference. Okay, what is the angle between the two hands of a clock when the time is 8:30? So once again, we have to use the same formula, that is 11 by 2m minus 30h. So it will be 11 by 2m minus 30h. Now, once again, as in the previous problem, here also the minute handle is at 6. That means 30 minutes. So 11 by 2 into 30 minus 30 into which hour is this? 8th hour. If it is 8:30, it is 8th hour. Even if it is 8:55 also, guys, remember, it will still be 8th hour. That is one thing which you should be clear about. It's not as if which is this hour and is closest to 9 or 8. That doesn't really matter. All you have to do is ask yourself, which hour is this? Is it 8th hour or the 9th hour? It is 8th hour. So we'll write 8 here instead of h. So we already know that 11 by 2 into 30 is nothing but 165. 5.5 into 30, that is minus 240. So that is the thing which we have to do. That's it. Now, if you do the math, whatever is the difference, 240 minus 165, that means 35 plus 40, 75. The answer should be 75 degrees. Okay, Pratiksha got the right answer. That is in fact correct, 75 degrees. I hope it is clear. Any doubts as to how we got 75? If you have any, please do let me know. Otherwise, we'll proceed to the next one. Okay, fine then. Let's move on to the next one. The next, okay, this is the next one. A watch which gains uniformly is 2 minutes slow at noon on Sunday, they say, and is 4 minutes 48 seconds fast at 2 p.m. on the following Sunday. When was it correct? This is slightly interesting. This is slightly different. It's not exactly the same as the previous two problems. We'll have to work a bit in this case. So let us look at the facts which are given. First of all, a watch which gains uniformly. That means if the clock is, or rather the watch is showing the correct time now, it will gain time. That means at some point of time, it will be ahead of real time. That is the meaning of the sentence. See, in case of subjects like logical reasoning, what is also important apart from knowing the subject is how to read the question. If you read the question correctly, half of the job is already done. Okay, so they say in the very first sentence, or immediately after they start the question, a watch which gains uniformly. That means if it is at x, at some point of time, it will be x plus something else. That means it has already moved ahead of the real time or the time which was earlier. Okay, that is something which we know from the first few words of the sentence or the first few words of the question itself. Next, a watch right now is 2 minutes slow. Right now it is 2 minutes slow, but we know for a fact that it will gain uniformly over a period of time. Okay, at noon on Sunday. Okay, now what we have to do is we'll have to consider 12 noon on Sunday as the real time. Okay, if this is 12 noon, the watch right now is not showing the correct time. Why? Because they have already mentioned that it is 2 minutes slow. Real time is 12 noon, whereas the clock is showing only 11:58. Okay, that is the thing. Instead of 12 p.m., it is showing 11:58 a.m. Okay, now, and is 4 minutes 48 seconds fast at 2 p.m. on the following Sunday. This Sunday at 12 noon, it was 2 minutes slow. Okay, next Sunday, when the real clock, when it actually showed, what is it, 2 p.m., that is afternoon 2, this clock was actually, because it is gaining time over a period of time, is actually how much? 4 minutes and 48 seconds fast. That means the clock is right now showing 2:4:48. Okay, this is the watch time. This is the real time. This is the situation so far. I hope you have understood this. This is very important. That is for you to understand what exactly is happening right now. Okay, so let me just minimize myself so that I'm out of the way. Now, what should we find out? What we have to identify here is when was the clock or watch showing the right time. If it is slow now, if it will be fast next week, when did it actually show the correct time? At some point of time, it would have crossed the real time, no? So they are asking when did it actually cross? So for that, we have to do few calculations. Let us do that now. Now, let me just add few pages here. Okay. So yeah, we'll start here. Now, 12 noon Sunday, that is the first Sunday. First Sunday. Okay. It is 12 noon. But when they are talking about the second Sunday, they're not talking about 12 noon, but they're talking about 2 p.m. Okay. So from 12 p.m., they straight away went to 2 p.m. On second Sunday, that is the subsequent Sunday, we are given the reference of 2 p.m. That's okay. Now, on first Sunday, there was a deficit because it was already slow, no? 2 minutes deficit. Okay. But on second Sunday, the clock was actually 4 minutes 48 seconds fast. From deficit to fast. Okay. If it is moving from 2 minutes deficit to 4 minutes 48 seconds fast, first of all, it should have covered the deficit, isn't it? Without you being able to cover the deficit, how can you eventually show 4 minutes 48 seconds fast? That means over a period of 1 week, 2 hours, because one Sunday is at 12 noon, other Sunday is at 2 p.m. Therefore, 1 week, 2 hours, the clock has gained so much so that it not only covered its deficit of 2 minutes, but also gained 4 minutes 48 seconds. That means in total, how much did it actually gain? It gained 6 minutes and 48 seconds over a period of 7 days plus 2 hours. I hope you understood this much. If you have any doubts regarding this, please do ask, because unless and until you understand this, which is on the screen, you will not be able to understand what is the solution. Let me know if you have any doubts, and you don't have to wait for me to ask you if you have any doubts. At any point of time, if you have any doubts, you can freely ask in the comments or chat window. Clear, guys? Okay, I'm assuming it's fine. Okay, there will be some time lag because it's a live session, maybe a couple of minutes here and there. So accounting for that, I'm assuming that you have no doubts. Now let's get back to the problem on hand. Now, what we have to do is we'll have to convert this 7 days and 2 hours into, sorry, so completely hours. Yeah, 7 days and 2 hours into hours. How do we convert this? Can someone tell me how to convert this 7 days, 2 hours into hours? Right now it is in days and hours. Okay, Kavya Patil is saying explain once again. So, okay, fine, no issues. I will explain. Kavya, what has happened here is on 1 week, last Sunday, okay, we'll consider this is easier to understand. Last Sunday, what was the watch showing? The last Sunday the watch was actually 2 minutes slow. Okay, that was last Sunday. At what time? At 12 noon. At 12 noon the watch was actually 2 minutes slow. That means instead of 12 noon it was showing how much? 11:58. Okay, this Sunday at 2 p.m. they are giving the reference of this Sunday at 2 p.m., not for 12 p.m. So this Sunday at 2 p.m., the watch is no longer slow, but instead it is fast. How fast? 4 minutes 48 seconds fast. If the actual clock is showing, excuse me, if the actual clock is showing 2 p.m., this watch is showing 2 p.m., 4 minutes 48 seconds. From 2 minutes slow or from 2 minutes deficit, it has now moved to 4 minutes 48 seconds ahead of the actual time. That means over a period of 1 week and how much? 2 hours, it has actually gained how much? 6 minutes and 48 seconds. It has gained so much. How do we know it has gained? Because in the first sentence of the question itself, they say a watch which gains uniformly. That means it picks up speed as the day progresses, as the time progresses. And they also mentioned uniformly. That means it picks up time uniformly. It is spread throughout the week. It's not as if on one day it picks up speed, then it will just drop down to the real time or something like that. No, it is picking up speed gradually over a period of time. So that time in this case is nothing but 7 days. One Sunday to another Sunday, 7 days. And on one Sunday, last Sunday it was 12 noon. This Sunday they are giving the reference of 2 p.m. Sunday. Therefore, it's no longer 7 days exact. It is 7 days plus 2 hours. Okay. Now what we have to do is convert this 7 days to hours completely into hours. That's it. So now how do we convert this 7 days to hours completely into hours? I hope you have understood, Kage. 7 days into each day anyway contains 24 hours. Okay. Plus 2 hours. Do the math and let me know. 7 4s are 28. 7 2s are 14 plus 2, 168 hours actually, plus 2 hours. So this will be 170 hours. Okay. Now what the clock has done is over a period of, okay, Pratik has already mentioned that 168 plus 2, correct. Over a period of 170 hours, the clock has actually gained how much? 6 minutes and 48 seconds. I hope that is the question. 48 seconds only, no? Yeah. 6 minutes and 48 seconds over a period of 170 hours. Any doubts so far as to why the clock gained so much and or what time frame as well? If you have any doubts as to how we arrived at 170, or if you have any doubts as to how we arrived at 648, you may ask. Otherwise, we will proceed further. Okay. Okay, fine then. Now, let us go back to the gain. 6 minutes and 48 seconds. It will be easy for us if we convert everything into seconds. Okay, so that way you can easily calculate what is what. So how do we convert this 6 minutes and 48 seconds completely into seconds? That's easily done. Every minute will have obviously 60 seconds. All that we have to do is multiply this by 60 seconds. and retain this 48 as it is. So no need to touch that. So 6 minutes into 60 seconds will be 360 seconds, isn't it? Plus 48 seconds, which was already there in the question. Now, in total, in terms of seconds, how much did it gain? It gained 360 plus 48 would be 408 seconds. I hope it is clear. So now what we know is the clock has gained over a period of 170 hours, 408 seconds. Okay. Now, the problem here is they're not worried about how much the clock has gained, how much time has passed between one Sunday and another Sunday. They are asking us only one thing. When did the clock show the correct time? That is the question. Okay. So now what we have to do here is we'll have to identify when would the clock show the right time. Last Sunday, it was 11:58 instead of 12. Okay. This is the watch and this is the real time. Now, let me ask you a very simple question. Tell me one thing, guys. To show the real time, how much should the watch gain? Tell me in terms of seconds. That's it. To show the real time, this particular watch, which is 2 minutes slow last Sunday, how much should it gain in terms of seconds? That is the question. Let me see if anyone answers. Sumati says 120. Pratiksha also says 120. Very good, guys. You are in fact right. The clock has to gain 120 seconds to show the right time. Why so? Because instead of 11:58, it has to show 12. So what is the difference, time difference between real and the watch is nothing but 2 minutes. Isn't it? 2 minutes, if you convert it into seconds, will be 120 seconds. That means the clock, or rather the watch, to show the actual time or the real time, it has to gain 120 seconds. Now we have almost solved the problem. Okay, I will tell you how. We know for a fact that the watch actually gained 408 seconds in how many hours? 170 hours. The watch gained 408 seconds in 170 hours. Now, if it has to gain 120 seconds, how many hours would it require? All that we have to do is just cross multiply. Can you do the math and tell me the answer? That is 170 into 120 divided by 408. So it will be like this: 120 into 170 divided by 408. So you can multiply and tell me the, please do the math and let me know what is the answer. 120 into 170 divided by 408. How much is that? Anyone? Okay, Sai Deshpande says 50. Okay, we'll go with that. Others may confirm. So this will be nothing but 50 hours. Now, what is the interpretation here? Okay, Sumati also got the same answer. Good. Now, what we know from this calculation is if the watch has to gain 2 minutes, if it gains 2 minutes, by the way, it will show the right time. If it has to gain 2 minutes, it has to cover a time of 50 hours. From which day? From 12 p.m. Sunday. 12 noon is nothing but 12 p.m. anyway. From 12 p.m. Sunday, it has to cover 50 hours to show the right time. So from 12 p.m. Sunday, all you have to do is just add 50 hours to this. That's it. On that day, on that time, it will show the right time. That's your answer. So if you had to add 50 hours to 12 p.m., it would be 12 p.m. Monday, 12 p.m. Tuesday, plus 2 hours will be 2 p.m. Tuesday. So I'm just splitting this into 24 plus 24 plus 2. 24 hours to 12 p.m. Sunday would be 12 p.m. Monday. Okay. Further 24 hours would be 12 p.m. Tuesday. And 2 more hours added to this will be nothing but 2 p.m. Tuesday. So therefore, the right answer in this case would be the watch would be showing the right time on Tuesday, 2 p.m. That's it. I hope it is clear. Let me know if you have any doubts. Okay. Anyone? Okay, Pratiksha is asking if I can repeat the last part. Okay, I will repeat the last part. Once again, I think by now you have understood that the clock has gained how much? 100 and, sorry, the clock has traveled 170 hours and it has gained 408 seconds over a period of 7 days and 2 weeks. Sorry, 2 hours. Now, the clock was earlier, last Sunday, it was 2 minutes slow. This Sunday, it is 4 minutes 48 seconds fast. They are asking during that week, at some point of time, it would have showed the right time. No, when was it? Okay. To show the right time, the clock should gain 2 minutes. If it has to gain 2 minutes, it is nothing but it has to gain 120 seconds in terms of seconds. Okay. We are expressing everything in seconds so that it will be easy for us to calculate. That's it. It gained 408 seconds over a period of 170 hours. Now, what we have to calculate is how many hours will it require to gain 120 seconds. So we do the cross multiplication. For 408 seconds, you required 170 hours. So for 120 seconds, how many hours would you require? Would you, in the sense, would the watch require to actually gain or rather show the right time? So we do the cross multiplication, that is 120 into 170 divided by 408, which will give us 50 hours. So that means if you count 50 hours from the last week, that is last week 12 p.m., that is 12 noon, you will realize that 50 hours from 12 noon last week, the watch actually showed the right time based on our calculation. So if you do the math, you will know that 12 p.m. Sunday plus 50 hours would be nothing but 2 p.m. Tuesday. I hope it is clear, Pratiksha, now. Okay. Okay. I'll move on to the next question then. Okay. What is this? Okay. Okay. This is interesting. At what time between 3 and 4 o'clock will the minute hand and the hour hand be on the same straight? Okay. At what time between 3 and 4 o'clock will the minute hand and the hour hand be on the same straight line but facing opposite directions? Okay, interesting. Now, how do we picturize this? See, every time you get a question of this type or any question related to clocks, just try to picturize the clock with minute handle as well as the hour handle. Now, the question which they're asking is, when will it be a straight line between 3 and 4 o'clock? That's it. Between 3 and 4 o'clock, it should show the right, I mean, the hour handle and the minute handle should be on one single line. Okay. So now, how do we solve this? Okay, let me just draw a clock. And if you assume this to be the clock, let's say this is 12, 6, and 3, and 9. Okay. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, 11. Approximately a rough diagram of clock. Now, what they're trying to say is at somewhere between 3 and 4 o'clock, it will be something like this. Okay, let me, if this is the middle point, let's say this is the hour handle. Okay, this will be the minute handle. somewhere during this time, because it's closer to 4, no? It will show this time. Okay, we need to arrive at the right answer as to when exactly the minute handle as well as the hour handle will be on the same straight line. That is the question. Now here they have not told us the actual time, but instead they are asking us the actual time. In the first two questions, if you recall, they told us the actual time and asked us to find out the angle. Here it is the other way around. They already given us the angle. Okay, consider this as the answer. But now we have to arrive at the actual time when it will be this particular angle. Now, there is one clue hidden here in the question, which is not told to us in a straightforward manner. That is the angle. Now, if it is a straight line, since they are mentioning that in the problem that it will be a straight line facing opposite directions, which angle will it be? If, see, clock is a circle, that is something which we already know. If it is a circle, it means one full rotation, or can we say 360-degree, isn't it? Okay, but in this case it's not one full rotation. The minute hand as well as the hour hand are on opposite directions on a straight line, so therefore this is nothing but 180-degree. One full circle is 360-degree, and half of that will be 180-degree because it's a straight line. I hope it is clear. This is something which you have to infer. It is not mentioned in the question, by the way. They have not mentioned that it is 180-degree. We arrived at that particular thing. I hope it is clear, because in the exam also similar question might be asked. It's actually easy. This is oh, 1 second. This is definitely what is it? This can be asked in the exam. Okay. Huh. Now, if you have to write down the formula once again, I'll write down the formula now that we know the answer. 11 by 2m minus 30h equals 180-degree. This is the formula. Okay. I hope it doesn't disturb my audio. So 11 by 2m minus 30h is nothing but 180-degree. That we just now inferred from the question. Now, what is that we need to answer now? We have to identify m, we have to identify h. If we are able to identify these two, then we can easily answer the question. But one thing which you need to remember is we already know one of these two terms. There are two variables here in the formula, m and h, but we already know one of those variables. Who will answer this first? Let me see. One of the variables is already mentioned. Which variable is that? Sumati says R's. Very good. Which R is that, Sumati? Okay, Sumati and Pratiksha have answered. It is the third R. In fact, it is true. How do we know it is the third R? We know it's third R because they have only mentioned that in the question. Let's go back to the question. They say, at what time between 3 and 4 o'clock will the minute hand and the hour hand be on the same straight line? Isn't it? Okay. So when it is already given in the question that it is between 3 and 4 o'clock, if it is between 3 and 4 o'clock, it's actually the third hour. I have already clarified that thing earlier. So now what we have to do is just find out m. That's all. Now that we know the angle, now that we also know the r, all that is left to be found out is m. That's it. So let me write down 5.5 m minus 30 into 3 is 180-degree. If you solve for this, you will easily get the answer. That's it. So what I'll do is 5.5 m equals 90 plus 180. 5.5 m equals 270. M will be 270 divided by 5.5. You do the math, you will get the right answer. Please do let me know how much is 270 divided by 5.5 m. How much, guys? Quickly. Quick. No one? Okay, I will only calculate. I'll let go and use the calculator here. Okay. Okay, now we have answers here. Sumati and Pratiksha mentioned 49. Okay. So that will be 49.091. Okay, we'll consider 49. Okay. That means what is the inference here? That between 3 and 4 o'clock at 3:49 exactly, the minute handle and the hour handle will be on a straight line. That's it. I hope it is clear. Okay. If in the exam you have various options, all you have to do is just click on the right option, which shows 3:49. That's it. Any doubts? Okay. Okay. That's all about the clocks topic. I just wanted to cover these. We'll move on to. Okay. Okay. There is one more question. But I don't think we have the time because there are other topics also which we need to cover. I hope you have understood the concept. If you are thorough with the concept, I'll move on to the next topic because we have very little time as it is. Okay. Shall we move on to the next topic? Okay, Pratiksha has asked a very important question: how to calculate this without calculators? I really honestly do not have an answer. This is the same question which I asked the institute, and they, as usual, without thinking, said that you have to use your mental ability. That is the exact words used by the institute officials. I know it's stupid, but that's how it is. Okay, fine. Let's move on to the next topic then. I hope. See, one thing which I believe is if at all they ask any questions related to clock, it will be such questions where I am hoping, I do not know for a fact, I'm just hoping that it will be such questions where you will not be required to calculate too much. Okay. So in that case, you can mentally calculate and then arrive at the answer. I know it will take some time, but that's how it is. Okay. As I said yesterday, if at all you get a question involving calculation, which requires some bit of time, leave it as it is, solve all the other questions, come back to it at the end. Just don't forget it. That's it. Okay. Let me move on then to calendars. Okay. Okay, I think this we have already solved last time. Only we solved it, I guess. Okay, let me just quickly erase this. 1 second. Give me a second, guys. So now the question here is, what day of the week does May 28th, 2006 fall on? That is the question. So for this, again, you'll have to use the concept of odd days and stuff like that, which we saw yesterday. The same thing we'll use today also and try to identify the answer. The question is actually very simple. The answer to that is not so easy. Okay, so Pratiksha says decimal calculation is difficult without pen and paper. I know. That's why I'm hoping that they won't ask such questions. But knowing that it is ICSI, they are bound to ask such questions. Sumati says yesterday mock test they asked calendar question, but made with what is that, Sumati? I didn't follow that. Made with fingers, is it? I don't know. Or I usually don't follow SMS lingo. If that is the case, forgive me if I'm not able to understand that. But I'm guessing by your chat message that yesterday also you had one such calculation oriented question. Okay. Anyway, now with respect to this question, what day of the week does May 28, 2006 fall on? This looks easy, but it takes some bit of time for us to calculate. Now, once again, you'll have to use the concept of odd days. This is, by the way, is part of your syllabus. I think this question is also there somewhere in the reference material. Now, how do we arrive at 2006 first of all, and then come to May 28th? Okay, you have to count with your fingers. Okay, now I got it. Now, what is that we have? We have 2006, that is the year. We have month, which is May, and the day, which is 28th of the month. Now, we have to identify which day is that without using the calendar, of course, otherwise it's easily done. So we have to start. The first step in this is to identify the year, okay, with 0 odd days. Okay, 0 odd days in this case, and it should be a century year. Century year with 0 odd days. Now, can someone tell me which is the year which is closest to 2000? It should be below 2006, not after 2000, before 2006. Which is the year which is before 2006 and a century year? Century means anything which is divisible by 100. Okay, a century year closest to 2006 but before 2006 and which has 0 odd days. That is the question. Okay, now we know for a fact, you can check the material later on. I won't get into that because yesterday only I explained how to calculate odd days and how to look at leap years, when exactly it is leap year and all that. So if at all you are joining only today, I would suggest please go back later on and check the concept of odd days and leap year in yesterday's revision class. Now, as Pratiksha here has mentioned, the closest year to 2000, that is year before 2000, and a century year with 0 odd days is nothing but year 2000. 2000, that is the year 2000, has 0 odd days. Okay, there are no odd days when it comes to year 2000. So how do we know this? Again, there is a formula, but if you have to understand in a very simple manner, all you have to do is remember any year which is divisible by 400 will have 0 odd days. Once again, any year which is divisible by 400 without there being any reminder, that means without there being any decimals, then that year will have 0 odd days. Is year 2000 divisible by 400? Obviously yes. 400 times 5 will be nothing but 2000. So therefore we will have to start with this year which is 2000. Okay, let's start with that. Now we know that it is year 2006, that is the year in question. Now we'll have to count from 2000 to 2006 as to how many odd days will be there at the end of each year. Okay, we'll start from 2000 here. 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, and 2005. We have 6 years here. Okay, every year will have 1 or 2 or 0 odd days, and we'll have to write that down now. Year 2000 will have 0 odd days. We already know that because it is perfectly divisible by 400. 2001 will have 1 odd day. Okay, 2002 will have normal year, non-leap year, once again 1 odd day. 2003 again 1 odd day. I hope you are getting it. If you have any doubts with respect to this, please do ask. Then 2004. Okay, can someone tell me how many odd days will be there in 2004? Anyone? Remember, it's a leap year because it is perfectly divisible by 4. If it's a leap year, it will have 366 days. According to the weeks, that is weeks concept, 52 weeks into what is number of days will be 7. We'll get 364 days. But in 2004, we actually had 366. 366 minus 364 will be left with 2 odd days. So I will write down 2 odd days. And lastly, let us come to year 2006 itself. In case of 2000, okay, 2006 we have not yet completed, so let's ignore 2006. We are still in 2006, no? Only when we complete that year we can consider that. So 2006 is the year, so we'll ignore that. Okay, we have not yet completed that year because we are on May 28th of that year itself. So now all that we need to do right now here is to count the number of odd days. So now if you look at the number of odd days here, 21110, it is nothing but 3, 4, 5 odd days. in terms of years, that is from year 2000 to 2006, we have how many odd days? 5 odd days. That is the thing. This is one part of the problem, that's all. Okay, it's not as if we have solved the problem. It's only one of the aspects of the answer. Now let us come to the months. We'll have to calculate from Jan to May. Okay, every month will have a specific number of days. We'll have to write that down now. After Jan, we have Feb, March, April, and May. Okay. Now in Jan, how many days do we have? We have 31 days. In Feb, since it's 2006 and non-leap year, we'll have only 28 days. March will have 31. April will have 30. May will have only 28 days, because anyway they are asking about May 28th. No, so we'll stop at that. Now we have to count or total this first. Total this and immediately tell me. 2005. Oh yeah, correct. Okay, Pratik Sai Deshpande, thank you. I had left out 2005, so it will be 6 odd days. Thanks, guys. Even Pratik has mentioned that 6 odd days. I had not considered that. Thank you. Okay. Now, tell me the number of days here. 31 plus 28 plus 31 plus 30 plus 28. Anyone? Quick. Do the math and tell me. So how much will this be? Okay, let me calculate. 31 plus 28 plus 31 plus 30 plus 28. So this is 148 days. Okay, 148 days. Okay. So if it is 148 days, now once again we'll have to check how many odd days are there here. How do we identify? See, whenever you have to calculate odd days, all you have to do is just divide by 7. That's it. So 148 divided by 7. Now 148 divided by 7, don't do the actual division. Tell me the number closest to 148, which is below 148 and a multiple of 7. Check. See, best way to find out is do the math itself. Let's see. 148 by 7. We are getting 21 point decimal, no? So do this 21 into 7. Sorry, into 7 will be 147. So number which is closest to 148 and divisible by 7 is 147. Whereas we have 148. So 148 days minus 147, that is exact number of weeks if we have to consider that. So there are 21 weeks plus 1 odd day. I hope it is clear. Any doubts? Okay. So in terms of days, we have 1 odd day. In terms of years, we have 6 odd days. I hope it is clear. If you have any doubts, please do ask. Now, all that is left is to count or add this and this. That is 6 odd days in terms of years and 1 odd day in terms of days. So if you do that math, 6 plus 1, we will end up with 7 odd days. Can there be 7 odd days logically? There can't be, because 7 is divisible by 7. So therefore, that means we have 0 odd days. Once again, we can't have any odd days which is a multiple of 7. If it's a multiple of 7, that means there are no odd days at all. So if it is 0 odd days, that means we don't have to add anything. If we don't have to add anything, when does our week start? That is the question which you need to ask. Our week starts on Sunday. And this day is in fact a Sunday. That's it. If we had got 1 day as the answer, we would have added 1 day to Sunday, then it would have been Monday. Since nothing is there in terms of odd days, we will not add anything. And we know for a fact that week starts on a Sunday. So even though officially, I mean, your offices, colleges, everything starts on Monday, but that's not the official thing. Officially, week starts on a Sunday. So therefore, 28th May, which year was that? 2006 is actually Sunday. Any doubts? I hope it is clear. If it's not clear, please do ask. Okay. Fine, then let's move on to a different topic. Enough of clocks and calendars. We'll be looking at different topics now. Okay. Now, second, yeah. So what we have to look at here is, the question says, one Tanya is older than Eric, apparently. Okay, so be it. And Cliff is older than Tanya, and Eric is older than Cliff. If the first two statements are true, then the third statement is dash. This is interesting. There are no calculations involved here. All you have to do is just identify the right answer. Okay. So let me just write this down. Tanya is older than Eric. Okay. Cliff, someone named Cliff, is actually elder to Tanya. Okay. Now, they also say in the third statement that Eric is older than Cliff. Is that possible, guys? I have pictorially represented what is what. Now, the third statement, does it make any sense? One second. Just give me a second, guys. Yeah. Okay. Rakshit and Pratiksha say no. Of course, they are right. Why? Because if you look at this thing, Cliff is elder to Tanya. That is one thing. And the second thing is Tanya is elder to Eric. That is something which we have already identified or established in the first two sentences. If it is already established in the first two sentences, how can Eric be older than Cliff? That is not at all possible. Eric is obviously younger to Cliff. So therefore, the answer in this question would be, if the first two statements are true, then the third statement is obviously a false statement. That's it. Based on the premise that first two statements are true. I hope it is clear. Clear? See, you can expect these type of questions in the exam. This obviously doesn't require much time, nor does it require any kind of calculation. Okay. Next, let us look at the second part of the question, or rather, it's a different question on the second part. Now, in this question, they say Mara runs faster than Gail. Lily runs faster than Mara. Okay. Gail runs faster than Lily. Okay. This again is similar type of question. Let me pictorially represent this. Mara runs faster than Gail. Lily. Okay. Lily is the fastest. Next fastest would be Mara. And below him would be Gail, based on the first two statements only. Okay. Now, in the third statement, they say Gail runs faster than Lily. Gail runs faster than Lily. Is that even possible based on this premise? Based on the premise of first two statements being true, is it possible? That is the question which they are asking. Now think and answer. Okay, Rakshit says again false, and Pratiksha also gives the same answer, which is in fact correct. So this is also false. Okay. Now let's move on to a different question. This is analogy based question. Odometer is to mileage. Odometer measures the mileage, apparently, as compass is to dash. What does a compass measure? Does it measure speed? Does it measure the hiking elevation? Does it measure the needle? I don't know what it is. Does it measure the direction? Out of A, B, C, D, what does compass actually do? Pratiksha has already given the right answer, which is in fact direction. A compass will show us whether we are in north, south, or east, or west, whichever it is. So therefore, If odometer is to mileage, compass is to direction. That is in fact the right answer. Next, marathon is to race. Okay, one of the types of races would be a marathon. Then hibernation is to dash. Once again, marathon is to race, as hibernation is to dash. Is it winter, bear, dream, or sleep? So I'm sure you would have seen hibernation somewhere. Earlier, the Windows version used to have this option. I don't know if they still have this hibernation. Okay, we have three answers. Pratiksha says sleep, so does Sumati, but Rakshit says winter. Okay, what about others? What does hibernation refer to? See, okay, Rakshit has corrected himself. He says no, it's sleep. Of course, yes, all of you are right. It is in fact sleep. Hibernate means you are giving it, or rather, let's say if you have to hibernate your system, you are pausing the system, or you are making the system go on a temporary sleep, or you can say extended sleep. Hibernation is not just sleep, it's an extended sleep. So therefore, the correct answer in this case would be sleep. Marathon is to race, as hibernation is to sleep. Okay. Next. Elated is to despondent. Okay. Elated is the word they say is to despondent, whereas enlightened is to dash. They're actually opposites here. Elated, you are elated, you are happy, you are high on energy. Despondent, you are depressed, you are sad, you're disappointed. Elated is to despondent, whereas enlightened is to dash. Based on this, you have to give me an answer. Is it aware, ignorant, miserable, or tolerant? Okay, Sumati says hibernation is long sleep. Yes, it is in fact. Opposites, that's it. Elated, despondent, enlightened. Enlightened, you would have heard this. Buddha attained attained enlightenment, right? So, okay, Rakshit, Pratiksha, and Sumati, all of them have given the answer. They all say it's ignorant. They're all correct. The opposite of being enlightened is being ignorant. Enlightened, you are aware of things. You know what is what. If you do not know what is what, then obviously you are ignorant. You are not miserable. You are not tolerant. You are definitely not aware. So therefore, the right answer in this case would be ignorant. Okay, let's move on. This is very easy. Play is to actor. An actor performs in a play, drama, one and the same. Whereas concert is for whom? Is it symphony, musician, piano, or percussion? Who performs in a play? Actor. Concert is to dash. Very easy. Quickly answer this. No one? Okay, I see Pratiksha Rishi's answer. Correct. Musician is in fact the right answer. Who performs in a concert? Basically, it is the musician. So that's why it's the right answer. Hope it is clear. Okay. Okay. The reason why I included this question was yesterday we had a similar question with respect to fruits, right? That's why I wanted to include this. A man has 480 rupees in the denominations of 1 rupee notes, 5 rupee notes, and 10 rupee notes. The number of notes of each denomination is equal, they say. What is the total number of notes that he has? Very interesting question. It's pure mathematics. That's all. There is nothing else involved. Okay. Some bit of calculation is involved, but it's easily solved. All that we have to identify here is the number of, or rather the types of denomination which we have. We have 1 rupee, 5 rupee, and 10 rupee. Okay. So now all of those make up how much in total? 480 rupees in total. But one thing which they also tell us is the number of notes of each denomination is equal. They say. That means if we have 5 1 rupee notes, we'll have 5 5 rupee notes as well as 5 10 rupee notes. If we have 6 1 rupee notes, we'll have 6 5 rupee notes and 6 10 rupee notes. the total of that should be equal to 480. So that is what we have to find out. Like, how many notes does he or that person has? Okay. So now how do we start this particular answer? Now let us write this down. 1 rupee. Let me just write down 1 into X number of 1 rupee notes plus 5 into same X number of 5 rupee notes, because number of notes will still be the same. If there are 10 1 rupee notes, 5 rupee notes will also be of same number. Okay. Then 10 rupee notes. I mean, just giving an example. That's it. That means we have X plus 5X plus 10X. Okay. Because we have 1 rupee denomination, 5 rupee denomination, and 10 rupee denomination. And the number of notes in each denomination will be equal. That is there here. Okay. That is what they are trying to say in the second sentence of the question. But when you total all this, it should be equal to 480 rupees. Okay. So now how do we simplify this thing further? Okay. That's easily done. So X plus 5X plus 10X equals 480. That's what we know. So if we have to total this, it will be 16X equals 480. So X will be 480 divided by 16. So this will be 16 times 3 is 48, no? Yeah. So this is nothing but 30. That's all. So that means we have 30 1 rupee notes plus 30 5 rupee notes. 1 second, yes. 30 5 rupee notes plus 30 what is it, 10 rupee notes. So if you have to do the math here, it will be 30 rupees into 1 is 30 only. 35 are 150 plus 30 into 10, 300. So 300 plus 150, 450, 450 plus 30 will be 480. So what was the question? What is the total number of notes which he has? Total number of notes would be 31 rupee, 35 rupees plus 30, 10 rupees, which is 19 notes. That's all. The actual answer here would be 90 notes. Any doubts here? See, this you can easily do without even a calculator. You don't even need a calculator. You can expect these type of questions. No doubt about that. So I know it involves calculation, but I also know that it can be solved without using a calculator. Next. We have similar problem, similar in the sense, arithmetic problem once again. The price of 2 sarees and 4 shirts is 1,600, they say. Okay. The price of 2 sarees and 4 shirts is 1,600. Fine. With the same money, one can buy 1 saree and 6 shirts. That is once again 1,600. Okay. If one wants to buy 12 shirts, how much shall he have to pay? Okay. We'll have to write down the equations here. Let sarees be X and shirts be Y. Now we know 2 into X, 2 sarees plus 4 shirts, that is 4 into Y, will cost 1,600. That is one equation. We have converted the first sentence of the problem into an equation. Now let us look at the second sentence of the problem, which says, with the same money, one can buy 1 saree and 6 shirts. This. Okay. Once again, we have 1,600. Same amount of money, no? So 1,600 will still remain 1,600. But in this case, they can buy how many sarees? 1 saree. 1x is as good as x. So I'm just writing x. Plus how many shirts? 6 shirts. This is the equation. So we have 2x plus 4y equals 1600, and x plus 4y equals 1600. Now we have two simultaneous equations. We can simplify this, but in this case, since the totals are one and the same, it would not be prudent to simplify as it is, because the amount which will be equal to will definitely be 0. Uh, so what we'll do is we will divide the first equation by 2, because it is easily divisible by 2. So if you divide the whole first equation by 2, you will end up with x plus 2y equals 800. This equation has taken this form now after we have divided everything by 2. We'll retain the second one as it is. X plus 6y equals 1600. Now that these two amounts are different, we can definitely simplify it. So I'll just multiply everything by minus here. So this will be minus 6 minus 65 minus 1600. If I multiply the second equation by minus sign. So now we can easily simplify. Minus x and plus x gets cancelled. Plus 2y minus 6y will be minus 4y. And 800 plus and minus 1600 will be minus 800. Okay. Again, minus minus gets cancelled on either sides. So now all that you have to do is 800 divided by 4. That's it, which will be 200. That's all. So what is that we found out? We found out what is y. Okay. I hope you have understood the equation here. If you have understood how we solve the equation, then fine. Otherwise, please do ask. Now, what is this y? Y is nothing but the shirts, or rather the cost of the shirt. Okay. Now, they say if one wants to buy 12 shirts, how much shall we have to pay? So that is very simple. If one shirt costs you 200 rupees, 12 shirts will cost you 200 into 12, which will be 2400 rupees. That's it. Okay. Pratiksha has a question. I think this was asked yesterday also, no? Pratiksha, correct me if I'm not wrong. I think I have that question here in this thing. I will come to that question in a minute. Okay. Yeah. Pratiksha, Sumati, and Gaurav, they're all correct. 2400 is in fact the right answer. Okay. Shall we move on? Sumati has already given the answer. She says daughter and father. Let's see. I have actually copied that question yesterday only. We'll be discussing that. Let's move on. Okay, now we are already into blood relations concept. Okay, this is an interesting question. Try to read this and you tell me the answer. I'll give you the chance. Pointing to a photograph, let's say this is a photograph. Okay, someone is here. Now, it's a boy, they say. Who is telling this? Suresh is telling, pointing to a photograph, that he is the son of the only son of my mother. That is what Suresh is telling, pointing towards the photograph. He is pointing towards the photograph, and Suresh is saying he is the son of the only son of my mother. Now, how is Suresh related to this boy? This boy, in the sense, the boy who is there in the photograph. Anyone? Think and answer. It's a blood relations topic question. Try at least. Doesn't harm in trying. We are here to make mistakes so that we won't commit the same mistakes in the exam. Okay, Pratiksha says grandfather. Let's see. What about others? Gaurav says Suresh. No, Gaurav, I think you misunderstood the question. It is Suresh who is actually pointing towards the photograph. And okay, you are saying it is Suresh himself. Okay, now I think I understood what you meant to say. Rishi says brother. Okay, we will see. Okay, Sumati says grandson. Okay, we have different answers. Okay, we'll see what it is. So now the best way to solve these type of questions is start from the last part of the sentence. I'm just writing the same thing here. He is the son of the only son of my mother. Okay, now let's start from the last part of the sentence. This quote: only son of my mother. He is the son of the only son of my mother. Okay, only son of your mother would be whom? He is the son of the only son of my mother. Once again, let me just add a page here. Son of only son of my mother. Okay, we have few more answers. Sai Deshpande says father. Sumati says father. Pratiksha has, I think, changed her answer. She says Suresh himself. Let's see. Son of the only son of my mother. So it, who is actually pointing this? Suresh is pointing. That is something which you have to understand. He, that is the person in the photograph, is the son of the only son. If Suresh is referring to his mother, if his mother has only one son, so who would that be? It would be Suresh himself, isn't it? Once again, let me come back to the statement. Only son of my mother. If I am Vishwas, and if I'm pointing to a photograph and telling that this fellow, whoever is in the photograph, is the only son of my mother, that only son of my mother is me, myself, isn't it? Okay, that part is already solved. This would be Suresh, the only son of his mother. And we are not stopping there only. We are saying this photographed person is the son of this person. Son of whom? Son of Suresh. That's it. The person in the photograph is none other than Suresh's son. That means, how is Suresh related to the boy? Suresh is nothing but father to the boy. I hope it is clear. Any doubts, guys? Okay, I think it's clear. See, start from the last part of the relationship, which is given in the question. That way we can work backwards. Okay, I think this is the question which was asked earlier also. Let me just check the chat. A and B are younger than C. Is that the same thing or is it different? Let me see if I am not. Okay, let me write that down also. Let me just copy this. Okay, let me add this pin. Okay, this is the question which I think was asked yesterday as well. Okay, let us look at this question first, then we'll go back to the previous one. A and B are younger than C. Okay, if B is the son of C and A is not the son of C, then what is the relationship between A and C? Okay, fine. So now I have to ask if there were any choices given for this question. Without choice, the answer will be slightly different. I will proceed without any choices. Okay, then we'll see. A and B are younger than C. If B is the son of C, okay, we'll start with C. Okay, and they simply say, without mentioning the relationship between A, B, and C, they simply say A and B are younger to C. They're younger than C. In the second sentence, they say if B is the son of C, okay, if B is the son of C and A is not the son of C, then what is the relationship between A and C? That is the question. Okay, B is the son apparently of C and A is not the son of C. Then what is the relation between A and C? if you ask me based on only this premise, if nothing else is mentioned, my answer to this question would be can't say. There is no relationship between C and A if there are no options. Let me know if there were any options in the mock test, or if at all there were, what was the or what were the options given. Tell me the options, guys. Without options, we can't determine the relationship at all, because how do we know that A is in fact the son or daughter, whatever it is? Because we have no such information going strictly by the question. Based on the options, maybe we can infer something. A is not the son of C, that they have already clarified. It could be daughter, but have they mentioned anything with respect to the gender of A? They have not. So we do not know. So based on that, we can simply say, we can't say what is the relationship between A and C. That is the actual answer based on the given question. If you have additional information, please do let me know. Okay, let me also say, okay, you are all saying daughter and father, assuming A is the daughter of C. Okay. Now, tell me one thing. If you go only by this question without looking at the options, A and B are younger than C, that they have given. If B is the son of C and A is not the son of C, what is the relation between A and C? Why can't C be mother? Tell me one thing. It could be mother also, no? Mother and daughter is also an option. Mother and daughter, going by this assumption. C could be mother. Have they mentioned C's gender anywhere? They have not. Okay. So it could be mother and daughter. It could be father and daughter as well. Okay. So you will have to look at the options. Based on the options only, we can arrive at the right answer. Otherwise, strictly speaking, can't say. That should be the answer. I hope it is clear. Any doubts? Again, uncle and nephew, I think that was the option which he's talking about. Okay. Uncle and nephew, no. Definitely not uncle and nephew. Because A gender is not male, it's female, no? Assuming that C is the mother or father. Again, that can also be guessed. As I said, you'll have to give me the option. Okay. Okay, Sumati says the options were clear. We could have chosen the right one. Then it's fine. Okay, going by that, we can easily choose the right one. Okay, I hope it is clear. We'll not spend too much time on that. Let's go back to this one. Try to answer this now. A is the brother of B, B is the sister of C, and C is the father of D. How is D related to A? Okay, Rishi says niece and uncle. That could also be the case. Okay. Because they only say younger and elder, no, in the previous case. They have not specified properly. Okay. A is the brother of B. A and B. A is the brother. Okay. And B is the sister of C. And C is the father of D. That means C is another brother. We have three siblings here. A, B, and C. There are three siblings. So brother, sister, and brother. How is D? And D, by the way, is the son or daughter of C. How is D related to A? Now tell me. Okay, Vishnu Prasad says this question also in mock test 1 and answer the showing daughter and father. He's saying in that they showed it as daughter and father. Which question are you referring to, Vishnu? Okay. By the way, again, C is the father here, and D could either be son or daughter. We do not know. Is that mentioned in the problem? They have not mentioned the gender, so we cannot assume anything. You have to always go by what is already mentioned in the problem, not assume anything. They only say if A is the brother of B, which we have written down, and B is the sister of C, which also we have written down, and C is the father of D. So A, B, C are siblings from the same family. Okay, two brothers, one sister. Two brothers being A and B, one sister being B. But they have also mentioned C is the father of D. C has one son or daughter. Okay, so that is D. How is D related to A? Okay, Pratiksha says nephew or niece. That is in fact the right answer. It could either be nephew or it could be niece based on the gender of D. If D's gender is given properly, then we can easily say it's either niece or nephew. In this case, they have not given, so we cannot assume. If nothing is given in the question, you'll have to select. There sometimes that will also be an option. Can't say so or can't determine. So you'll have to simply click that option. I hope I'm clear here. If you have any doubts, please do ask. Okay, fine. We'll move on. Next one. Try to answer this, guys. Introducing a boy, a girl said, okay, let me try to picturize this. There is a boy, okay, there's a girl. Pardon my poor drawing skills, okay. This girl said, looking at this boy, introducing this boy, she said, he is the son of daughter of the father of, okay, 1 second, father of my uncle. This, by the way, is a girl, and this is a boy. This girl, pointing towards that particular boy, what did she say? This fellow is the son of daughter of father of my uncle. Now what? How is the boy related to that girl? What do you think? Work backwards, guys. That's easy to decipher. No one? Okay, let me only try. If I have to start from father of my uncle, I have an uncle. His father is my father's or mother's father, no? Once again. Okay, before I proceed, Pratiksha already has mentioned that it is brother. Okay, Vishnu says A and B are younger than C. If B is the son of C and A is not the son of C, what is the relation between A and C? Okay, okay. And now I got it, Vishnu. Thank you. Okay. Father of my uncle. If I have an uncle and if that uncle has a father, that would be my grandfather, isn't it? How will that uncle be related to me? Either he would be my father's brother or he would be my mother's brother. If he is father's brother, and he has a father, he is grandfather. If he is my mother's brother and he has a father, he then also he'll be my grandfather. So the person being referred to here is the grandfather of this girl. Okay, one part of the problem is solved. Then she is referring to the daughter of father of my uncle, daughter of grandfather. Okay, grandfather's daughter. Grandfather's daughter could be could be either this girl's mother, could be this girl's mother, or it could also be her aunt. because we cannot assume that her grandfather had only one female child. Her grandfather might have had multiple female children. It could either be her mother herself, or it could also be one of her aunts. Okay, that is something which we have to understand here. Next, son of such mother or aunt. Okay, here what we have to understand is, if it is her mother and if she is referring to mother's son, then that boy will be her brother, assuming the daughter here is her mother. If the daughter being referred to is her aunt and that aunt's son is being referred to, then that person would be her cousin. So the answer to this question would be either brother or cousin. So if in the options we have brother, select brother. If in the options you have cousin, select cousin. As simple as that. Any doubts? Okay, Pratiksha has answered brother or cousin if aunt. Yeah, that's correct. What about others? Did you get it, guys? I hope you got it. Hmm? I know blood relations questions can be confusing, but if you give some time or if you practice enough number of questions, then you can easily understand the logic behind every question. Okay, let's move on then. Excuse me. Pointing to a photograph, Reena said, the person in the photograph is boy. He is the only son of the only child of my grandfather. Okay, Matthew says too confusing. Okay, Matthew, tell me which part of the question was confusing. I know blood relations can be daunting at times, but if you practice enough, it's nothing is difficult. Matthew, Tamil, if you have not understood any part of the explanation, please do let me know. I can repeat that for you. Otherwise, we'll move on to the next part. If there is any specific part which you did not understand, Matthew. So what we did here, Matthew, is we broke down the relationship into different parts. Son of the daughter of father of my uncle. So father of my uncle is one part, daughter is one part, and lastly son, another part. So there are three relationships here. Father of my uncle is grandfather. His daughter is either my mother or my aunt. Their son would be either my brother if it is my mother, and it would be my cousin if it is my aunt. That's it. I hope it is clear. This is how you'll have to solve blood relations questions. You have to break that down into different relationships. Better if you do that from reverse. Okay. Anyway, let's move on. So now in this case, they say pointing to a boy in the photograph. Once again, we have a photograph. Okay. So there is a boy inside this photograph, and who is pointing? Reena is pointing towards this particular photograph, and she is saying he is the only child of my grandfather. Reena is saying he is the only child, sorry, only son of the only child of my grandfather. Okay, let me break down the relationship once again. Only child of my grandfather. That is one relationship. Then only son of such child. That is another relationship. That's it. It's actually very easy. Okay. Muskan and Sumati have answered. They say it's brother. Let's see. So now in this question, it's actually slightly easy because they have already said only son and only child of Reena, only grandfather of Reena. So now what makes this question easier compared to the previous one is, if you are referring to someone as grandfather and that grandfather has only one child, obviously that would either be your father or it could be your mother. Okay, either that grandfather is your father's father, or that grandfather is your mother's father. One of these two cases, that's it. Let us not worry whether it is father's father or mother's father. In whichever case, I mean, in both the cases, it will obviously be your grandfather. That much is true. Okay, now only son of their of only son of either father or your mother. Only son of your father or mother should obviously be Reena's brother. That's it. Reena is in fact the sister of the boy, as Pratiksha has mentioned. Correct. All of you have actually answered correctly. Reena is the sister. That's how she is related to the boy. See, in the exam, this is another confusing part. In the options, you will have both brother as well as sister. But your understanding would be right. Reena is the sister, boy is the brother. But what are they asking? They're actually asking how Reena is related to the boy. Reena is related to the boy as a sister. That's it. Okay, therefore the answer should be sister, not brother. I hope it's clear. Okay, let's move on then. We have statements and assumptions. We'll look into this. Okay, we have two statements. Okay, Matthew says this one is clear. Okay, I'm glad at least this is better than the previous one. Okay, what are the statements? Okay, guys, if at all you want more such questions on what is this blood relations, you can simply Google for blood relations. There are n number of questions, or you can go to ICAI's, that is the Chartered Accountants website. There also in foundation they have this logical reasoning for 20 marks, and there they have one chapter called blood relations. There are n number of questions there. Try to solve those questions. That would be a good practice. Okay, just go to icai.org. There in students section, you will have to look into Board of Studies knowledge portal, something of that sort. If you search for CA Foundation study material, you will get it. Okay. Now, what are the statements which we have? All bags are cakes. Okay. All lamps are cakes. Mhm. Now we have two statements. You have to first of all identify what are statements, what are conclusions. This part, let me just. No, I can't. Okay, anyway, let me try to. Now, this part is the statements part. Okay, this part is the conclusions part. This is the answer part. That much you have to understand, which is which. Okay. Now, what are the statements which are being made? They say all bags are cakes and all lamps are also cakes. In real life, it is not possible. As I said, in logical reasoning, we have to go by what is there in the question. That's all, nothing else. Now, if you consider all bags as cakes and all lamps as cakes, we can do one thing. We can draw one big rectangle here. 1 second. Okay. Assume this to be the cakes. Okay. Inside that we have bags, we have lamps. You can consider this as bags, this as lamps. Now this big rectangle is nothing but cakes. Now, what does the statement say? All bags are cakes. Obviously, bags is part of the bigger rectangle, which is cakes. What about lamps? Lamps is also part of the bigger rectangle, cakes. So therefore, statement 1 and statement 2 are pictorially represented here. Now, this is only the statements part. Now we'll have to look at the conclusion and check whether this matches any of the 5 options which are given here. Now, what does the conclusion say? The conclusion says some lamps are bags. Some lamps are bags, they say. Okay. And the second conclusion says No lamp is back. Okay, this is interesting. We have a couple of answers. Muskan says B, Rishi also says B. That is only conclusion 2 follows. No lamp is a bag. Okay, that is because I misled you guys. I drew the diagram like this. I could have drawn it in a different way as well, which is this. Okay, so now let this be bags, let this be lamps. Now I will call this bags, these are lamps, and these are cakes. Even now, whatever is there in the question is satisfied. All bags are cakes, all lamps are cakes. That is what is there in the question. We have already satisfied that. All bags are cakes, all lamps are cakes, isn't it? Going by this diagram too. Now, if you look at this diagram, will you say only conclusion 2 follows? You can't say that, isn't it? So based on these two diagrams, you'll have to tell me which is the right answer. Okay. Pratiksha says D. Okay. That is neither conclusion follows. That is her answer. Now you guys tell me. In one diagram, there is no intersection between bags and lamps. In another diagram, there is intersection between bags and lamps. Okay. Now let us look at the conclusion. Some lamps are bags. Based on the first diagram, this is not right conclusion. Some lamps are not bags because there is no common element between bags and lamps. The second conclusion is no lamp is a bag. No lamp is a bag. So this statement is obviously correct based on first diagram. Okay, based only on the first diagram. Now let us go to the second diagram. What does the conclusion say? Some lamps are bags. Some lamps are bags, obviously is correct. The second conclusion says no lamp is a bag. No lamp is a bag doesn't work in this diagram. So that means the second conclusion is actually failing in the second diagram. Okay. So in the second diagram, second conclusion is failing, but the first conclusion is working. Whereas in the first diagram, first conclusion is failing, but the second conclusion is working. That means both 1 and 2 cannot happen at the same time. Both the conclusion 1 and conclusion 2 cannot happen at the same time. Either it should be some lamps are bags, or it should be no lamp is a bag. So if it is either conclusion 1 or conclusion 2, then which is the right option? The right option here would be option C, which says either one or statement, sorry, either conclusion 1 or conclusion 2 follows. So the right answer in this case would be option C. Slightly tricky, I know, but that's how you have to approach these type of questions. Yeah, Muskan is right. So is Gaurav. C is in fact the right answer. Any doubts, guys? I hope it is clear. If that is the case, we'll move on to the next one. Okay. They are talking about mangoes. Okay, mangoes are golden in color, they say. Okay, no golden colored things are cheap. Fine. All mangoes are golden in color. Okay, no gold. Okay, fine. So they're talking about color here. So we'll consider this as gold color. Okay, we'll just trying to simplify it. Okay, Pratiksha has a doubt. In the question, they said both are different, but sir, in diagram 2, you have combined. They have not said both are different. No, where have they said? They only said all bags are cakes, all lamps are cakes. They didn't say lamps and bags cannot be different or can be same. They never mentioned that. They only said all bags are cakes, all lamps are cakes. Even in the second diagram, that particular statement is still being followed. No, all bags are part of this rectangle cakes, or lamps are also part of this rectangle cakes. There could be some what is that intersection between bags and lamps that is not mentioned. That's why we have to assume and draw two different diagrams. Of course, in the exam, you don't have to draw all this. You'll have to just work it out in your mind. Okay. I hope I have answered your query. Anyway, statements. Okay, let's try to draw this. All mangoes are golden in color or of gold color. Okay. If this is the bigger circle, which can be considered as gold in color, mangoes are part of that particular circle. I will call this mangoes. And this is golden, okay, color. No golden colored things are cheap. Okay, we have one more diagram, which is circle. We'll call this as cheap. This is the thing. This is the relationship as depicted in the statements. On one part, we have mangoes, which is part of the bigger circle, golden. And on the other hand, we have cheap. Okay. Now let us look at the conclusions. First conclusion says all mangoes are cheap. Definitely not, because cheap and mangoes, they have nothing to do with one another. There is no intersection at all. Golden colored mangoes are not cheap. Okay. They say all mangoes are cheap, which is not the case. Golden colored mangoes are not cheap. Golden colored mangoes are not cheap. No, that is correct, because all mangoes are golden in color. So golden colored mangoes are definitely not cheap. This is actually right. Only conclusion 2 follows. Why do you guys say neither 1 or 2 follows? Muskan, Tamil Matthew, and Pratiksha, they say D, D, D. How D? Can you explain? Clear? It's actually B. Only conclusion 2 follows. Golden colored mangoes are not cheap. Oh, Muskan, if you actually, please, someone please tell me what that emoji depicts. I'm very bad at emojis. Okay, Sumati says B. Yeah, that is B. B is in fact the right answer. See, we know for a fact that all mangoes are golden in color. Okay, so are mangoes cheap? They are not cheap. That is exactly what they are trying to say in conclusion 2. In conclusion 2, they say golden colored mangoes. Golden colored mangoes is nothing but all mangoes. All mangoes are not cheap, which is in fact correct, because mangoes and cheap, they have nothing in common. I hope it is clear, because in this statement only they have very clearly mentioned no golden colored things are cheap. So therefore option B, or rather conclusion B, is definitely, sorry, conclusion 2 is definitely correct. Clear, guys? Shall we move on? Okay, now I got it, Muskan. Okay, next. This I think is very easy. You guys can easily answer this. Okay, let me read out the statement first. All flowers are trees and no fruit is tree. All flowers are trees and no fruit is tree. Okay, all the flowers are part of a bigger circle, trees, and no fruit is tree. This will be flowers, which is part of a bigger circle, trees, and this will be fruits. Okay, the statement is depicted like this. Now let us look at the conclusions. What are the conclusions here? They say no fruit is flower. No fruit is flower. That is correct. Fruit and flowers have nothing in common. So that conclusion is correct. Likewise, they say some trees are flowers. That is also correct. As we see here, all trees are definitely not flowers, but all flowers are trees. So therefore, some trees are flowers is definitely correct. Some of the trees are flowers. Okay, that is also correct. That means both 1 and 2 are right. I hope it is clear. Let me know if it isn't. Okay, E is in fact the right answer. Both the statements are correct. Some trees are flowers. All trees are not flowers. That is something which you have to remember. All trees are not flowers, but all flowers are trees. Okay, but some trees are flowers. Some of the trees are definitely flowers. Okay, Muskan, I think you have some doubt. What is that emoji? It's a sad face, is it? Why are you sad? Okay. Anyway, fine, guys. Any doubts here? This was easy, I guess. I hope they ask such questions in the exam. Okay. Next. Okay, that's all for the day. We'll wind up now. We'll meet tomorrow at the same time. That is 6 o'clock. If you have any doubts with respect to mock exam or anything, you may ask now so that I can check and get back to you tomorrow. Otherwise, see you tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Okay. Study well, guys. Thank you for being with us for so long. I started at 6. It's almost 8 now. Thank you. Bye-bye.